Want to welcome you guys back to another episode of Pistons Talk Podcast presented by FanDuel. Holy crap, let me turn down this got like lighting right now in front of my face. It blinded me. I had it on full. Oh my gosh. Okay, seeing a little bit of stars, but we'll push through it. Um, Pistons played the Suns first game in about 4 days. Felt really weird. I feel like the Pistons have had a lot of lulls in the season where they have 3 to 4 days off, but I'm not complaining whatsoever. It's good to get some rest. Uh, Pistons looked well rested in this first quarter. For about 3 minutes, it looked like this team was going to be able to take care of the Phoenix Suns, and it wasn't going to be such a competitive game like it was. But that energy died off very fast, and then they got very lackadaisical in this first quarter. It was really weird. Like both teams were trying to play fast, um, and the Pistons were just really struggling to contain two players in particular in this first quarter. Um, Grayson Allen in particular, and then Colin Gillespie, who's a undrafted guard. Um, I want to say he played under Jay Wright. I think he did, yeah. But Colin Gillespie and Grayson Allen in the first quarter were just absolutely crazy. They were hitting their shots after struggling to shoot threes very early in this first quarter, but they were able to get out to a 32-23 lead. I did like the Jade Ivey minutes off the bench. He had 8 points. Was hitting his shots. Much better bounce back game from him. Obviously, we know last week he had the opportunity to start in absence of Cade Cunningham being injured. But he looked really comfortable coming off the bench and being productive there. So, Pistons do lose that first quarter. Going into the second, they started off with just way too many turnovers and empty possessions. There been so many instances this season where the Pistons really struggle to just put possessions together where they're scoring the basketball. If you guys watch the broadcast on FanDuel, like they'll show like little tickers down at the bottom of the screen, like 0 field goals in like 3 minutes, 0 field goals in like 4 minutes. And like I feel like the Pistons do this a couple times a week. And um I don't want it to become a habit, especially as we get closer to the playoffs. And we have trading deadline that's fastly approaching us on February 5th, but they just had so many empty possessions in this second quarter. JB took 2 timeouts. He took a timeout at the 10-minute mark to talk to these guys, took another one to talk to them again. And within the broadcast, like obviously they're not going to drop any F bombs, but you could honestly hear JB saying, "Wake the F up," because the energy was just so low in the first 2 quarters. But I felt like what really kind of tipped the Pistons' competitiveness and their energy, it was a double foul. Tobias Harris was posting up. Grayson Allen grabbed his arm. Tobias inadvertently hit him in the face. It was a double tech, and I really felt like after that sequence, it was just way more energy. Dylan Brooks uh, flopped, which it was such a dangerous play because Ron's going downhill and trying to get to the cup, and Dylan Brooks tries to lay in front of him with their not lay in front of him, but put his body on the line for a charge. But then he moves it like midway when Ron's coming down the lane. Like that could have been really, really dangerous. Happy that Ron Holland wasn't hurt there. But Pistons used both of their challenges, one against Grayson Allen, one against Dylan Brooks, because the officiating I really felt um, was so inconsistent for both sides. I felt like this was going to be a game where there's going to be ejections or just fist fights. Dylan Brooks is a hell of a player, but the antics that come with him, like you probably love when he's on your team, but you hate playing him. He's a really good player. Obviously, he's a big reason why the Phoenix Suns are having the success that they are. And I think some Pistons fans maybe they weren't as tapped in with the Phoenix Suns this year. Like they're a really good defensive team. They have a lot of good defenders, and I think that's a big reason why Cade Cunningham struggled as much as he did tonight. I know the broadcast tried to mention that, he didn't play in a week. It's rust. Like I don't want to discredit Phoenix's defenders. I thought they did a really good job of just getting in Cade's face tonight, just really playing tight on him and making it difficult. Now, full transparency, in this second quarter, the Suns were up 16 points. Pistons were fortunate to get it down to 7. So Phoenix only had a 63-56 lead. Now, I really felt how this game was played in this second half. If you would have played with that consistent energy in the first half, it wouldn't have had to have been just an uphill battle. Like, I honestly feel this game, and this might be recency bias by me, I felt like this was the toughest game for the Pistons to get back into and win. Phoenix is a very tough opponent. They're up there with the Clippers in terms of like the hottest teams in the Western Conference right now. They've won a lot of games as of late, but the Pistons had to scrap back. They got their first lead around the 5-minute mark, 77-76, and they were able to have only be they were fortunate to only be down 1 after Phoenix did kind of come back. Asar Thompson did leave the game. He bumped knees with Grayson Allen, and I thought we weren't going to see Asar Thompson for the remainder of this game. He did eventually come in very late in the fourth, but going into the fourth, I thought Ivy did a very good job of exchanging baskets to keep this game at least within a possession or tie the game for that matter. Tobias Harris was just living in the post, making crucial shots. Got the too small on Dylan Brooks, which I thought was really funny because you don't really see Tobias Harris that animated. I feel like the last time we saw Tobias Harris kind of talking shit was when we played the Magic really early on, and he was going at Paolo Banchero like crazy. But I thought the defense was great. It was excellent. Grayson Allen tried to get the Suns back into this game, hit a three-pointer really late, but the Pistons were able to survive and have a 3-point victory, getting back in the win column 108-105. And the Pistons' next game will be against the Indiana Pacers, who obviously we know they're not the same Pacers team without Tyrese Halliburton. And just into this game, they had the lines on FanDuel at 6.5, which I thought, given how well Phoenix was playing, I thought it should have been a lot smaller. And it was. It was only a 3-point game, but it was a very, very entertaining game. Chest pains, just the full Cardiac Kids experience. If you guys are an OG subscriber, I call the Pistons the Cardiac Kids all last year. But really, really fun game. Just a tale of two halves. If you do ask me, I do want to get into the box score because I feel like a lot of people that don't listen to this podcast on the YouTube side and just listen to the audio side, they might want to know how everyone did. So we're going to go over the box score, and then we'll open up the show to any comments and questions that you guys may have, or maybe a player, a play, something you saw tonight, or maybe it's a trading deadline question. You guys know I just leave the live chat open forum. I'll try to get in each and every one of your questions if you guys do leave them in the live chat right now. And if you are a audio listener, you've never been on one of our post-game podcasts on YouTube, I invite you to join it if you want. No pressure. If you just like listening to these podcasts on the audio side, 100% understand. But getting into the box score with the Detroit Pistons, we're going to start with the starters. Tobias Harris in his first game back did start in this one. 29 minutes, 16 points, 6 out of 11 from the field. Didn't hit a three-pointer. He was 0 for 2. Perfect from the free throw line. Made all 4. 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 5 steals in this one for Tobias. And he was a plus 22. I know when he was talking to the media, I believe Patterson that posted the video, when he came back from one of his previous injuries, I believe it was his ankle injury, he said he wasn't 100%. He looked good out there. Obviously, we know he sprained his hip against the Lakers game when he was out for 2 weeks, but I think I forgot. And, obviously you have recency bias watching these games. He's really our only true post player. Obviously, I know Jalen Duren is developing a post game. I know Cade Cunningham, can post up, but I feel like Tobias is one of the very few players on this team that actually calls for post-ups, and we saw it again tonight. And I think it's just such an underappreciated skill that not a lot of players have today. So many players are just so fixated on shooting threes, but it's kind of refreshing to watch as someone being older that kind of grew up in the late 90s, early 2000s, watching basketball. Duncan Robinson in this one had 19 points. He's kind of been on a heater the past two games. 7 out of 11 from the field, 4 to 7 from three, 1 for 3 from the free throw line, 1 rebound, 1 block. He was a plus 12 and a plus minus. Jalen Duren on Jalen Duren's Slam Magazine / Jade Ivy bobblehead night had 16 points, 8 out of 13 from the field, 18 rebounds for Jalen Duren. He was just eating the glass today. He's just grabbing everything. 2 assists, only 1 turnover, and 2 block shots. He had a really big block in the fourth quarter. And he led all players in plus minus with a plus 23. Really big game from Jalen Duren tonight. Cade Cunningham, 10 points. Shot a miserable 3 out of 16 from the field, 0 for 7 from 3, 4 out of 9 from the free throw line, 4 rebounds, 11 assists, 5 turnovers. He was a plus 9 in this one. I expect a bounce back game for him this Saturday against the Pacers. It'll be a get right game for Cade Cunningham for sure. Sar Thompson only played 19 minutes in this one. Obviously, like we mentioned, he left really early in the third quarter. Shot 2 out of 6 from the field, 0 for 1 from 3, 1 for 2 from the free throw line, had 6 rebounds, 2 assists, and was a plus 1 in this one. Starting with the bench, Isaiah Stewart in 22 minutes had 4 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 block shots. Plus minus is such a weird stat. It was a minus 25 in this one. Ron Holland in 21 minutes had 11 points, 3 out of 6 from the field, 0 for 2 from 3, 5 out of 9 from the free throw line, 9 rebounds, 1 assist, 5 turnovers, 1 steal, was a minus 11. Javonte Green in 16 minutes had 5 points. He was 1 out of 5 from the field, 1 for 5 from 3, 2 out of 3 from the free throw line, was a minus 10. Also grabbed another steal. And Karis LeVert in 16 minutes had a whopping 2 points, shot 1 time, 3 points, 3 assists, 2 turnovers, 2 steals. He was a minus 8. Jaden Ivey in 17 minutes had 15 points off the bench. Led everyone in bench scoring, 6 out of 8 from the field, 3 out of 5 from 3, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 turnovers. He was a minus 4. And Danish Jenkins had 6 minutes in this one, 5 points, 1 field goal, and it was from 3. I thought it was a really crucial 3 at that time because we just weren't hitting our 3-point shots. Perfect from the free throw line, 2 out of 2. He was a plus 7 in this one. I feel like he's just in a really weird spot when everyone's healthy. Like he'll get like anywhere from like 6 to 8 minutes. And I know JB is still trying to just have this huge like rotation. I'm curious to see like when this rotation does get a little bit shorter. Maybe it'll be closer to like March, April as they get closer to the playoffs. But I could see JB just rolling out like huge rotation after huge rotation night after night. But getting into the team stats, Phoenix shot 17 out of 46 from 3. They shot 37%. Pistons shot 9 out of 32, 28%. Neither team shot the ball well from the free throw line. The Pistons shot 23 out of 37, 62%. They did out-rebound the Suns about 54 to 41. Cashed in 14 offensive rebounds in this one. Had 25 assists, 10 steals, 7 blocks, 17 turnovers. Got to get those turnovers down. You can get like around 11 to 12. I think you can live with it. And this was a game where, look at technical fouls. Pistons had 3 techs. Suns had 1. Flagrant fouls, both team had 1 respectively. I really thought this game was going to just be like completely out of control, but kudos to the refs for kind of calming it down in the second half. But I do want to kind of get into the Q&A part of this podcast. I see a lot of you guys asking questions right now. I'm just going to take a quick break so I can kind of just go through these comments and questions, and then we can just have a chill rest of the podcast and talk about anything you guys want to talk about. We'll be right back, you guys. Okay, you guys, we are back. I want to get into the Q&A part of this podcast. If you're brand new here, this is the part of the podcast where we just answer any questions you guys have or comments during the live chat. I saw Joseph Bullock actually drop a comment, and then AFB H1628 had a comment. Both of you guys did about Karis LeVert. Joseph said, "I've seen enough of Karras. Let's give those minutes to someone else." Uh, AFBH said Karras might be the most hated Piston by fans since Corey Joseph. I feel bad for those guys. The fans decide are public enemy number one. The Karras LeVert experience is such an inconsistent experience. I can understand why fans are frustrated with his playing time. I 100% agree with Joseph. I feel at times like if he doesn't have it, then like give someone else playing time because JB has kind of said like I'll just play guys that are playing well. But I mean we've seen games where Karras just isn't playing well, but he's a vet out there and he's an additional ball handler, so you kind of you're forced to play him because you don't have that many ball handlers outside of Jaden Ivey and Karras. Like you're not going to really ask Marcus Sasser to play backup point guard. That's why Sasser didn't really get any minutes tonight at all. But I can understand the Karras hate because you gave the guy a mid-level exception and he's just having a career low in terms of point production. Um, and I thought he would at least give the Pistons a good like 12 points a night because that's kind of been like what he's averaged. But I mean, yeah, the Karis LeVert experience is definitely an inconsistent one. It's even more consistent than the Tim Hardaway Jr. experience last year. And I think a lot of Pistons fans have missed Tim Hardaway Jr. I'm one of those fans. Misses 3-point shooting and him taking charges. But yeah, I don't honestly hate players. Do I get frustrated watching them as a fan? Absolutely. Do I wish some players got more rotation minutes? Absolutely. But I know that's JB's guy. He's going to be getting more minutes on the bench probably than other players like a Marcus, like a Danis, just because JB's familiar with him from their Cleveland days. And, Trajan was even with him when he was in Brooklyn. So there's familiarity there. There we go. Between JB and Trajan. So I don't know, man. Is he here past the deadline? Not entirely sure. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I mean, the Karis LeVert experience is definitely one that when he's making shots, everything's good. When he's not, and it's just over dribbling and isos for 15 seconds, it's frustrating to watch as a fan. Marquez says, "Stop the trading Ivy people. He's fine. Go Pistons." Ivy people are gonna people that don't like Ivy obviously aren't going to stop the trade Ivy conversations. I'm never going to tell a fan out of a fan if you don't like Jaden Ivey on this team, you think he doesn't fit. I mean, you're entitled to your opinion. I disagree with those opinions, but I think he's found a nice niche as kind of like a sixth man off the bench for the Pistons right now. As this roster is currently constructed, and Duncan, being in your starting lineup, being the only like legitimate 3-point shooter on volume, I think that's why he has continued to stay in the starting lineup, even though Jaden Ivey has been off a minute restriction for a while. RVK says, "My college coach would have locked us in the gym all night if we bricked that many free throws, 100 reps and shuttle runs if we shot under 85%. Yeah, man, it just gets to a point where it's just like, obviously, I think I'm starting to just lower my expectations when it comes to free throws because this just is not a good free throw shooting team. I don't understand it. I think collectively these guys are not as bad as they are, but I guess game situations are completely different. I'm sure they practice free throws after practice, post game shoot around. You see them practicing free throws. They're just a bad in game free throw shooting team. Can't say I've seen a team this bad at free throws probably since the rebuild, like Troy Weaver's first year. I felt like that was a really bad free throw shooting team. But yeah, this is really bad. Like, you have guys that are routinely pretty good to, above average free throw shooters, just threes, bricking free throws. Excuse me. It's really bad. Red Baron does have a question, or more of a comment, it looks like. So we already need shooting desperately on this team, and now Cade is fighting through an injury with the shooting him that's caused for an alarm. I know he had a sprained wrist, a contusion on his wrist. I don't know if it was a shooting hand. I don't know if that was ever disclosed. Um, Obviously, I credit it to Phoenix's defense tonight. They're a very good defensive team. I don't really think Cade is like struggling to shoot whatsoever. I know before this game, he was shooting over 40% from three over his last 12. So I think the shooting is getting better. I don't know if he did bruise his shooting hand, but I mean, if he did, he'll probably just tape that up and, just ice it and the bruise will go away. But, Cade's going to have nights where, he's not shooting a high percentage. He's the head of the snake of this team. It happens, but I'm not going to overreact after one game. You also put a comment, windows in quotations of elite competitiveness can be closed in an instant. Trey Murphy is the perfect solution in the starting lineup, and it's shooting woes. He's young enough to be here for the next decade. I'll have the Trey Murphy conversation. I was going to have it on Sunday. We can do a brief one, and then we'll probably talk about it again on Sunday when we're going to be doing a podcast. We'll be doing a podcast Saturday and Sunday, so you guys are going to be seeing me a lot this weekend. But I think the conversation with Trey Murphy is New Orleans has not said that they won't trade him. They just have been asking for a lot, and I don't think they're getting the offers that they actually want. They want 3 first-round picks and a young player for Trey Murphy, and they're entitled to want that type of offer when you see a guy like a Desmond Bane go for multiple firsts. They kind of want that Desmond Bane type of offer. I don't think the Pistons right now are going to go for that. Now, could that change this summer? Absolutely. Could they have a deal with New Orleans where they want to have Trey Murphy on this team? I think they could, but it just gets to a conversation of like, who do you want? Who do you want as the long term for? We all know Tobias Harris is a good placeholder until the Pistons can find a legitimate starting four in the starting lineup. I think Trey Murphy's price is increasingly high, and it's probably going up day after day because the guy is just at an all-time heater right now. Seems like every time I scroll the timeline, he has another 30-point game where he just looks like the best player in New Orleans. And again, if you're going to pay the 3 first and a young player, I guess that is a steep price, but I mean, you have to pay premium for better players. You're not going to, throw them to bias in a heavily protected first, expect to get Trey Murphy. I think the Pelicans know what they have. I mean, they're asking 2 first and a young player for Herb Jones. Like, unless they get good offers, you're not going to get a Herb Jones or a Trey Murphy. I love Trey Murphy. I think he's a perfect fit on this team. Really love just the way he plays. He's just not a 3-point shooter. He's also very athletic, very bouncy. He can catch lobs with the ball on the floor. Not a traffic cone defensively. Like there's a lot to like for Trey Murphy. I'd be very surprised if the Pistons went against everything that has been reported, where they're pretty content with not making any big splash moves. They're pretty content with just adding marginally, where they can get maybe a Dennis Schroeder type of deal at the deadline. But hey, it was kind of cited that don't rule out a Trey Murphy trade in the future by some reports earlier this week. I'll kind of leave you guys with that because we're going to be getting into that this Sunday. Mr. Ray says, I know this is a game recap, but man, could you imagine how good this team could be if they added Kobe White before the trade deadline? I think people really sleep on him as a player. I know we've talked about Kobe White a couple of times, Mr. Ray, on podcast, and the report came out today what Chicago was asking for Kobe White. It's a unprotected first round pick. He's on the last year of a deal. He does fit into the Detroit Pistons trade exception perfectly if you want to use that. Um, I don't know when Chicago is going to just fully say, screw it, let's rebuild. Um, they feel so much like the Andre Drummond years where they're content with competing and they're picking like 7, 8 every year. I'm waiting for them to say screw it, let's build around Matas Bazelis, and just sell off on Nikola Vucevic, sell off on our veterans, and just start from ground zero basically. They haven't done it. They're in the play-in right now. Them and the Atlanta Hawks are kind of this teetering between 9 and 10. But I like Kobe White. I think he offers a lot of ball handling concerns that you do have, scoring concerns, 3-point shooting concerns, and unprotected first. I mean, I think it just really depends. Like, do you really want to give up a first round pick for a player that you might not be able to re-sign this summer? I think that's the conversation you have to have. But I think another thing that you could definitely talk about is like windows. And the Pistons are the first seed in the Eastern Conference. We know that, we understand it. Like, how far are you willing to go to, get out of the first round, possibly have the opportunity to make the Eastern Conference Finals, right? Like, how far is this organization's front office willing to go? Like, do they just say screw it? Like, we don't know what the East is going to be next year. Here's a first, Chicago. We really want Kobe White. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. I feel like they're just really playing the patient and the waiting game. And eventually you have to budge and make that move. Is Kobe White one of those players where you just give up a future first and uh, you immediately have a guy that can score in bunches, can facilitate, handle the ball, and he can be out there in closing lineups with Cade Cunningham. He can kind of just be that ball handler that you like. I'm not sure. I like Kobe White a lot as a player. I don't know if they're willing to give up a unprotected first for him for a couple month rental. But again, like you have to just be realistic with like what this team is and what their needs are. And I think Kobe White checks off 2 boxes: ball handling and 3-point shooting. I don't really think this team has as many weaknesses as they did last season. I think right now it's just you need more 3-point shooting, and I think you need more ball handlers to help out Cade Cunningham. I think those are the 2 things that I think that they can address this deadline, and I think it's possible to address both of those needs. Maybe you can get a player like that. Maybe uh, a guy like Malik Monk is a player that you look at. I think there's combo guards that kind of fit into the ball handling and 3-point shooting, and facilitation, kind of like checkbox you're looking for at this deadline. Who knows? We're gonna have to wait and see. But I do really like Kobe White, Mr. Ray. Sorry I rambled on for a couple of minutes, you guys. Wes Weaver does have a question. How do you think we'd fare with a Michael Porter Jr. and Colin Sexton if we traded for him? If you got both Michael Porter Jr. and Colin Sexton, I would just say that this roster is completely shaken up and it's completely different. I've said my piece with the Michael Porter Jr. stuff. I really have. Um, I think that the Michael Porter Jr. cost is very expensive. I don't really think it's a situation where you're going to be able to just get him for bias up first, and maybe Ivy. I just don't. I think with Michael Porter Jr., you're sending multiple first, 2 first. I have been under this opinion, and I'll keep saying it. I don't think they want any guards. I look at Igor Demon, I look at Ben Saraf, I look at all the guards that they just drafted. They're dealing with Cam Thomas. I don't really think they want to, trade for Jaden Ivey. Obviously, like they could just let him go to restricted free agency and not really worry about a contract extension. But I think Brooklyn doesn't really want to be in a mindset to pay another player in a couple of years. I just don't. That's why I think Ron Holland to me would probably be on Brooklyn's asking price for a Michael Porter Jr. trade. So I don't really think the Pistons want to give up on a Ron Holland because he has a lot of untapped potential. I think he's just that spark plug off the bench night in and night out. We'd love that. I think Michael Porter Jr. is another player that does check a lot of boxes. 3-point shooting, secondary option for Cade Cunningham, can put the ball on the floor. From a basketball fit, he does make a whole lot of sense, but I think the asking price is too first and probably Ron Holland or any other combinations of young guys that aren't guards, right? So I think if you're a Piston fan, you probably don't want to give up a Ron Holland right now. You just don't want to do that. Colin Sexton is another name that I did see that was mentioned that the Pistons will be monitoring. It's interesting because it's another JB Bickerstaff former player in Cleveland. If the Pistons were to trade for Colin Sexton, I just have my questions because I think one of the guards off the bench is probably gone, whether that's Sasser, whether that's Levert or Ivy, right? The Colin Sexton one was just kind of like, really? The Pistons are interested in Colin Sexton? That's weird. I think he's an okay player. It's not a player that I would like overly get excited about personally. But I think it's just a situation where I would rather just kind of roll with Ivy and see like after this break, after All-Star break, um, does he get his legs under him? No pun intended there. Does he get a little bit more burst and speed back? 'Cause I thought tonight he looked really good. There was a play, a highlight level play, one of his first baskets where he went behind the back and had a really nice mid-range jump shot. I have not sold my Jaden Ivey stock. I know a lot of people have. I just haven't. But yeah, I think the Colin Sexton and Michael Porter Jr. I think I'm good on. Just for right now. Just for right now. Um, Chewy Pod says our window is now. Yeah, like that's the thing where I think some Pistons fans kind of look at like our window in terms of competing. Like if you think it's now, then you're probably going all in for a move. If you think next season Tyrese Halliburton's coming back, Jason Tatum's coming back, you don't feel confident that you can not do anything drastic at this deadline, then yeah, go for a move. Go for that Michael Porter Jr. trade. Give him multiple first. Go all in for Trey Murphy. You want to be a real sicko? Go call Danny Ainge, see what he wants for Laurie Markkinen. I happen to think that it would be okay for them to hold off on those types of deals right now. If you want to do it in the summer, I think that's what I would be more comfortable with personally. But that's just me. I still think at this deadline, they will add players that can help them in the second half of the season. Adding more shooting, adding more playmaking, I think is something that they'll be looking at because I think we can all agree that this team has so many instances where they're inconsistent in the half court, and if you can address that, I think it'll definitely be a situation where you can get better without like trading in all your draft picks or trading in maybe a young guy or two for a big move. No Tatum, no Halliburton. Cleveland is bad. Orlando is bad. Atlanta just traded Trey Young. Philly is always hurt. Yeah, I mean, like if you feel this is the time and this is the window to go for maybe a swing for Trey or Michael Porter Jr. or trading a unprotected first for Kobe White. I mean, like why not? Like why not go for it? I just don't think they will. I think they're just going to take the patient approach personally. Good Get to a couple more comments and questions. Um, if we are paying that much for Michael Porter Jr., we might as well go for Trey Murphy. Yeah, I mean, like that's what I saw with Pistons fans on Twitter today saying, like, if we're paying 2 firsts for Michael Porter Jr., we might as well pay that price for Trey Murphy. And like if you give New Orleans 3 firsts and a young guy back, I think that's something where it would at least start a conversation. The only thing I worry about with trading for Trey Murphy is Troy Weaver's down there. Now, there are probably 2 players that Troy Weaver would want back. Probably Isaiah Stewart, which I would hate to lose Stewart in any type of hypothetical trade. I really would. And it's probably Asar Thompson, right? I doubt Detroit wants to give up Asar. I really doubt they want to do that. So you just have to have that conversation of what are you comfortable with giving up for Trey Murphy? And I really don't know what I'm actually comfortable giving up right now for Trey Murphy. I'd have to think about it for a couple of days. Like, if you guys ask me, like, what would I be comfortable giving up right now? I just couldn't give you like a concrete, clear answer because it would just be strictly reactionary. But Trey's going to be like a big upswing trade if you do try to trade for him. We need to upgrade that forward position, particular shooting. Yeah, I agree. I think the power forward position, Chewy Pods, is probably the one position that I think they're the weakest at. I think that's a position that I think the organization knows that they have to upgrade. They can't rely on Tobias Harris to just be, that the starting power forward. I know there's been situations where Stu has been that, but I think they will definitely look to try to upgrade the power forward. Uh, Rev James Dickinson says, "Why do we need to make a trade?" I would say this: I don't think you have to make drastic trades, right? I just don't. I think the way I look at it is this team is having a lot of success right now in the regular season. Once the playoff starts, the way that we're winning games right now, it's not going to be the same in the playoffs. It's going to become a half court game, and we've seen that this team does struggle in the half court a lot. There have been instances where they do have a little bit of success, but more oftentimes than not, when it's a half court game, this team struggles to score the basketball. I think you would add more perimeter shooting, James, to help this team. Now, you don't have to break up your core guys. You could sell off on your vets and get more 3-point shooting and playmaking that way. I think the type of moves that I see Trajan making are just like really small moves, nothing crazy. I don't think he's going to go all in for a move. I mean, reports have suggested that they aren't looking to do that. They're looking to keep this core together and just add on the margins, add maybe a vet there, a vet here, kind of like they did last year, where they were able to swing Lindy Waters and Dennis Schroeder. And in free agency they had Malik Beasley and Tim Hardaway Jr. Like, they're probably just looking for more 3-point shooters and playmakers. I don't really think they're going to do anything crazy personally. Michael Porter Jr. is the perfect middle ground considering his contract. Yeah, I mean, his contract's not too crazy. You would have him under contract for 2 more years, and you can kind of just like figure out whether you want to extend him, kind of see how it does fit with Cade Cunningham. I mean, I'm not opposed to trading for him. It just depends, like, what young guy they want. I'm just under the opinion they don't want any guards. I'm under the opinion that, Tobias is probably involved in that deal just to make the money work. And then they would probably have their choice of any young forward on our team right now. I would do that Trey Murphy deal right now if it's just a Sar Harrison 3-first. See, I probably wouldn't do a Sar Harrison 3-first. Because I think you lose a lot of perimeter defense that you would, be struggling in. I think the team actually gets worse defensively. I think it just really depends because I think the asking price for him is going to be really high, Detroit Red. And knowing Troy, he probably would want one of his guys back, whether it's Stu, Asar, maybe Ivy. I'm not entirely sure. I'm really not. Trutella, is Trey Murphy or a Michael Porter Jr. really the moves that makes Detroit into contending with the Thunder? That's a great question. I'm not sure. I think it does raise the Pistons' ceiling in terms of getting out of the first round. I think it gives them more consistency in the starting lineup at power forward. But I don't know if it would help them contend with the Thunder. The Thunder are just a multiple head monster in terms of just all the players they have, the bigs they have. Um, between like Chet Holmgren, Hartenstein, SGA, Jalen Williams, Alex Caruso, Kaysen Wallace, Lou Dort. Like they just have they have so much depth. They're a lot like the Pistons in terms of depth. Like everyone can play. I don't know if like I could confidently say like, hey, like we just traded for Trey Murphy or Michael Porter Jr. I think we can take the Thunder in the finals. I don't really know if I could wholeheartedly say that until we play them. We haven't played them, which I think is criminal. I don't think we play them until I believe February. Could be wrong there, but um, it's going to be interesting to see like what they do. I'd rather have Tim Hardaway, or I'd rather have Trey Murphy on another team to serve purposes on. Okay. San Antonio has guards to compete with OKC. Yeah, I mean they have guards, they have Victor, which helps, but I mean it just really depends, like how you guys feel about matchups. Like I don't really think we have the guard play to match up with OKC. Like we have Cade, which Cade and Shea, but like our second guard would be Jaden Ivey. Like I don't really think Jaden Ivey could be as effective against their perimeter guards like a Caruso. Like if they threw Caruso on Jaden Ivey or they threw Case and Wallace on Jaden Ivey, I think he would struggle a little bit. Um, it, the Thunder are just like such an elite defensive team. It's crazy. Is Victor okay? He went down with the knee tonight. I'm not sure. Detroit, right? I did see that injury. I'm sure we'll probably get an update like later at the NBA injury report, probably tomorrow. Um, What would Golden State want for Kuminga? That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know, man. I feel bad for Jonathan Kuminga. I've said my piece with it. I think Golden State right now would just personally want probably a draft pick and maybe a rotational player. Like I can't even like grasp what Kuminga's market would be. Um, I think Golden State has completely derailed his value by not playing him. Obviously, there were the antics with him, and then Steve Kerr. It's just a really toxic relationship. And then his like agent went up on a podcast talking to like Brian Windhorst this summer, which made it, I thought, 10 times worse because he said the Warriors weren't giving him like what they wanted. Um, the Kuminga thing is weird. Like if I had to guess, maybe he's playing with the Bulls, maybe he's playing with the Kings, maybe even the Mavericks. I don't know if the Pistons would put their hat in the Jonathan Kuminga race. I really don't. He's a great player, but I'm not really entirely sure where he's going. I think his value is like really low, but it'll be interesting. What is Toronto shopping around right now? Was it quickly? The last thing I read with the Raptors was they're kind of like dipping their toe in the trade market. Um, I know they're not too happy with Yoka Purtle, which I would not want to get into the Yoka Purtle sweepstakes because he just signed a big deal. I could see Toronto making a little move there to try to, stay competitive in the Eastern Conference right now. I mean, they're off to a really great start, the first half of the season with RJ Barrett and Brandon Ingram, which was a really good, trade by them. And he's been great for them. Maybe they look to get more, center depth, but not really sure. Kaminga's perfect for a 39-win team, which means he's got Chicago ball written all over him. Yeah, you're probably right. Like he could probably like go crazy in Chicago and like average like 15 to 20, and you'd be happy with it just to get out of Golden State, right? Just to get out of Golden State, but not really entirely sure. Bucks are trying to stay competitive. Yeah, I mean, like you see the Bucks in rumors with like Zach Levine and John Morant, which yeah, the whole John Morant stuff is wild. Like apparently, like he wants to go to the Miami Heat, and Miami's like, we're good. But hey, man, it'll be interesting. Hell, he could even go to the Wizards. Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. With Jonathan Kaminga, but I appreciate you guys watching. I know we kind of got into a little bit trade talk, trading deadline, which hey man, as the closer it gets, I think trading deadline season is going to be even more chaotic. We're only on the 15th of January as we are recording this podcast, but appreciate all you guys watching. Pistons do win this one by 3. What was the final score again? 108, 105. But we will see you guys on Saturday. Hope you guys are having a great Thursday. As always, go Pistons. Peace.